Welcome back to Play the Game HQ. I'm Daniel, and in this video, we're going to teach you how to play Stalk Exchange from the Up, who helped sponsor this video. In Stalk Exchange, players will be building their secret stock portfolio by influencing the Community Hedge Fund to grow both flowers and profits. When the market crashes, and it ultimately will, the player with the most valuable stock portfolio wins the game. To set up the game, put the market and the garden board in the middle of the table, then put the 5 square stock value tokens on the 0 space of the market track. Put the flower tokens in the greenhouse bag and mix them up, then give each player a garden shed and a reference card. Each player will draw flower tokens from the bag to build their initial stock portfolio, and you'll put those tokens inside your garden shed, and it's going to be helpful to stack them by flower type. In a 2 to 3 player game, everyone draws 12 tokens. In a 4 player game, draw 10, and in a 5 player game, everyone draws 8. Once everyone has drawn their tokens, seed the garden with random flowers from the greenhouse bag. For 2 players, fill all of the bee spaces, and for 3 to 5 players, fill the butterfly spaces. Draw 6 tokens to populate the Stalk Exchange with the flower side of the token face up, and then put the compost bag next to the exchange board. Then finally, give each player Seedy business tokens based on their turn order. The first 3 players get 3 tokens, the 4th player gets 4, and the 5th player gets 5 tokens. Stalk Exchange is played over a series of rounds with players taking turns going clockwise around the table. Each turn has 2 phases, action and upkeep. You'll always take the action part of your turn, but the upkeep is going to depend on the state of the board at the end of your turn. On your turn, you can do 2 actions, and you can take the same action twice, and you can also spend 1 of your Seedy business tokens to take extra actions, but we'll talk about Seedy business in just a minute. So on your turn, you can plant and you can swap. To plant, take a token from the Stalk Exchange board and put it into any open space on the board with the bulb side up. You'll always plant from the exchange board, never from your shed, and you always plant with the bulb side of the token face up. Don't refill the exchange board yet, you're going to do that at the end of your turn. To swap, take a token from your garden shed and swap it with one of the available tokens on the exchange board. You can only swap with the tokens in the Stalk Exchange row, not the tokens in the garden. And you won't ever have more tokens in your portfolio than you start the game with, so you'll be using the swap action to change the makeup and ideally increase the overall value by swapping less valuable flowers for more valuable flowers, although the value of each type of flower is going to be fluctuating throughout the game. You can also spend Seedy business tokens to take extra actions, and you can spend as many tokens as you want on a single turn, but once they're gone, and there's no way to get more, so be sure to spend those wisely. You can use those tokens to take an extra plant or a swap action, and once per game, you can use one to flush the exchange, putting all of the tokens from the exchange into the compost bag and replacing them with tokens from the greenhouse bag. After you flush the exchange, flip the Seedy business token you used and put it in front of your shed as a reminder that you can't take that action again for the rest of the game. After you've taken all of your actions, it's time for upkeep. This can have 4 steps, but you'll only do the first 3 if the garden conditions are right. First, harvest any flowers that are completely surrounded either by tokens or the edge of the board. So these 2 flowers are ready to be harvested, but this and this are still a bulb, so they're not ready to be harvested yet. When you're harvesting, if 2 tokens of the same type are next to each other, those tokens form a group, and that group has to be surrounded by tokens that are a different type than the group before that group can be harvested. So if this token was here, even though this one is fully surrounded, it's part of a larger group of the same type of flowers. So these spaces would have to be filled to surround the entire group before any of those purple flowers can be harvested. Set your harvested tokens aside until step 3 of the upkeep phase. Once you're finished harvesting, you'll bloom any bulbs that have at least 1 open hexagon next to them by flipping them over to the flower side. And because you harvest before you bloom, you'll never harvest a bulb on the same turn that it's planted. After you bloom, it's time to update the stock values. You'll be adding flowers to the market track throughout the game, which will increase the value of each type of flower added. The first flower added will go in the first space for your player count, and additional flowers will be added down the track. For each flower added, move the matching stock value token 1 space. The order that the flowers are added to the market track doesn't matter, and if you ever lose track of a flower's value, you can just count the tokens on the track. Once all of the values have been updated, take the rightmost flower from the exchange board and put it in the compost bag, then slide the rest of the tokens all the way to the right and refill empty spaces on the board with tokens from the greenhouse bag. After you refill the Stalk Exchange, it's the next player's turn, and you'll continue taking turns going clockwise around the table until the end of the game is triggered. The game can end in 2 ways, when the greenhouse bag is emptied or when the harvested flower tokens meet or pass the highest stock value token on the market track. When either of those things happen, the current player finishes their turn and then the game ends immediately. The end of the game represents a market crash which starts with a bust. Before final scoring, the highest value flower loses half its value rounded up, and if multiple flowers are tied for the most valuable, all of the tied flowers lose half their value. So our pink dahlias are currently in the lead with 8 points, so they're going to lose half of their value, coming down to 4 points. After the market bust, the stock values have been finalized and it's time to tally your scores. To score the value of your portfolio, reveal the tokens in your garden shed, then multiply each token in your shed by its value on the board. So I have 4 daffodils worth 5 points each, 2 snowdrops worth 5 points each, 2 dahlias worth 4 points each, 2 globe masters worth 5 points, and I have no tulips, so the total value of my stock portfolio is 48 points. And once everyone has totaled their portfolios, the player with the highest score wins. If there's a tie, compare the number of the most valuable flowers in your portfolio, and whoever has more of those wins. And if there's still a tie, continue comparing the next most valuable flower until you have a winner. And if it turns out that you have identical portfolios, you'll just have to share the victory. And that's Stalk Exchange. If you have any questions, be sure to leave a comment and we'll answer as quick as we can. Thank you so much for watching. We'll see you later. Bye.